focus and concentration. I mean, it could
Yes.
be. There's times where you can be focused, concentrated on the ball, and still not catch it. So, it's hard for me to sit here and say, even though I did say yesterday, it's all about focus and concentration. But that was for me. I mean, for me, it was about focus and concentration. So I try not to project my personal beliefs and my personal experience on every receiver that dropped the pass because it may be different for someone else. So I think that drops are all about concentration and focus. That's just me. I've never really asked another receiver um, their reason for dropping a pass, but I just think that if you are locked in and focused on catching the football, you catch it with your eyes, you see the ball hit your hands, and then you tuck the ball the proper way, you should never drop a pass. And I can go
Yeah.
back and look at the times that I dropped a pass. It was because I didn't do those things.
I guess the way I was looking at it is there are things that these receivers, the bad habits that you continue to talk about, those bad habits are leading to the drops. They're building up, and as a result of poor execution before the ball gets there, is leading to the drops. I guess that was the way I was viewing it.
Well, I'll tell you,
Because they're not prepared. It's like not studying for the test.
I,
Like you didn't study for the test, and you got to the test, and when the test was thrown at you, you failed.
I'll tell you this: 2004, I had a drop against Alabama um, on a dig route, and the reason why I dropped it is because I ran a piss poor route, and
That's what
so
I'm getting at.
yeah, so the route did affect my catch, even though I did try to look the ball in, but the ball was it was so far away from my hands, and it was an awkward angle. But I'm the one that created the poor angle because I didn't run a good route. So um, I probably would have caught it 5 out of 10 times or 7 out of 10 times, but I dropped it that time. So like if you run the correct route and the ball hits you in the hands and you don't catch it, that is 100% to me focus and concentration. And I think that's
Yes.
something that's being carried over from practice, and we don't have the correct habits. And that's just the best way I can say it, the nicest way I can say it. I'm not gonna lie about it. So let's go to the phones. And good morning. Who we have?
You got Rob.
Hey, Rob. Good morning.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think Florida's back on our schedule this week, and so we're reliving this. And my thing here is we need to get better as a Tennessee fan. Quit living in somebody else's press conference. Quit worrying about it. Doesn't matter. They're not back on our schedule. And this is just like the team snapping clear. This week's Missouri. We're going to concentrate on Missouri. I think Tennessee can improve and continue to improve, and quit worrying about what Todd Grantham said. Truth is Todd Grantham should worry the fact that one player goes out, we can't run the ball, but we were able to run the ball up until then. That's not good on his defense. All right, so just let that go. We need to figure out how to run the ball with Cooper Mays and without Cooper Mays, and we need to figure out how to catch the ball. And because the routes are there, the players are open. You know what? To me, I'm just seeing things that can be fixed. I'm seeing things that we can work through, and we're not there. You're right. We're not to where we want to be. But this is Missouri week. Am I wrong?
Can we not mention what the Florida coach said about playing us versus playing a team next week that we're gonna play later on this season? We can't mention it one time, Rob.
No, I mean, you know what I'm saying. What I'm trying to say here is that let's snap and clear, because I think we get. It's kind of letting Florida beat us twice.
We're not playing, Rob. The players
I
are
know.
playing.
I know, but I am. I mean, seriously, it's absolutely ridiculous how much sometimes as fans we kind of live this and rework it. I get that, because we're not running the tens and turns and all the other things you guys did. But the fact is that we also should sit there and kind of have the same mindset, because a coach would tell you, You're not playing Florida this week. You're playing Missouri. And so as a fan, I should kind of try to follow in that type of footsteps in my mind. Maybe I'm wrong, and you can correct, and it doesn't make for great sports radio. I understand.
Well,
but,
listen, I'm not going to tell you how to think. There is a difference between us as fans and the players. The players are not thinking about Florida right now. When I was in the locker room on Sunday, Theo Jackson had already forgot about Florida. He was already thinking about Missouri, and that's what you do as a player. But for us, who are talking about the games, we're talking about Missouri. At least we came out the first part of this show and broke Missouri down against Boston College. And when you go into the next game, you have to look at the previous game and see what we didn't do to fix that to win the next game. And so that's some of what we're doing. And it's really hard to sit here and go, all right, we're not talking about Florida on a Tuesday. We're just talking about Missouri, because you have to reference what you did or didn't do in the past when you are talking about the upcoming matchup. So listen, I'm not going to tell you what to think, Rob. I'm just saying, man, like
I heard his comment, and I'm thinking the way that Kentucky, and yeah, I thought about it too, but the way Kentucky does the RPO is a little bit more complex and hidden in the way Tennessee runs the RPO. That is a little more challenging. All right, and they have a physical line, which already at this point, you think about it. If you're Florida, you played Alabama, you played Tennessee, and now you're playing Kentucky. Those 3 games right there, Tennessee is the least physical of the 3. And so you're already looking at a defensive line that's already probably somewhat tired, and it's about to have another physical test. So, I mean, to me, that's how I saw that comment. I didn't take it as a backhanded, because, I mean, to me, it's just a different thing. Now, I mean, I was kind of amused, and I was wondering your take on Auburn firing their receivers coach after game, 3 or 4?
I was told when I asked about, the reason for that, and I was told by someone I trust that Harsin was forced to hire that receiver coach by either administration or donors. And I asked myself, have they not learned a lesson? Because you've had those guys meddling for years and years and years, and you got rid of Gus Malzahn, who was the only coach that was successful against Nick Saban the way he has been in the regular season. But I understand it got stale. You wanted a change, but you went out and got Brian Harsin. That's necessarily not lit the world on fire either before he got to Auburn. And then you go out and you've not let Brian Harsin hire who he wants to hire, and then he has to wind up firing a coach 3-4 games in because the chemistry is not right. So same thing when Tennessee and Pruitt fired Brumbaugh. Well, if you would have done your homework yourself or not allow someone to force a coach on you, you don't fire a coach after 3 games, because you would have spent time knowing that coach, researching that coach, building a relationship with that coach before hiring him. So that makes sense. It lines up that something happened there with Auburn. Either that receiver coach was forced on Harsin, or he didn't really, really hire him. Tennessee didn't really hire Pruitt didn't really hire Brumbaugh. It was more like Derek Ansley. Derek Ansley is the one that stood on the table for Pruitt, and Pruitt was like, all right, cool. All right, Derek says he's good. Well, all right, he's good. And then Pruitt had to learn later that it wasn't a good fit. So that's what I heard down there at Auburn. And I don't think it looks terrible on Brian Harsin. I think it looks like, hey, here's a guy that saw a problem, fixed a problem, and didn't let the problem continue for the rest of the season. Other people might have a different opinion. Rob, you may have a different opinion, but I don't think it looked bad on Brian Harsin.
No, I think it shows a program in flux, right? I don't think it's anywhere near the what is it, dumpster fire that Florida State is right now. Florida State seems to be a toxic environment.
Hey, 0-3, man. Did they lose this weekend again?
They lost this last weekend. Yeah, they're 0-4.
Ooh.
Lost to Wake Forest.
Ooh. Yeah,
But
so.
as a matter of fact, he went on a tirade yesterday for 2 or 3 minutes about why it's not that bad that this is the worst start since 1974.
Oh, it's bad. 0-4 is bad, man. All right, Rob, man, thanks for the phone call, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, that's bad. Let's continue to go to the phones, and who do we have with us next?
What up, bro? What up, Swain?
Hello, who we have?
It's Rusty. What's up?
Hey, Rusty, what's up, man?
Well, I was trying to figure out why Ben's taking shots at Heupel.
Golly.
You're funny, UCLA Rusty.
Nah.
Rusty Bruin.
Yeah. So, couple things. If Grantham is worried about Kentucky's offense, I'm scared for Florida this weekend then, because I mean, it's not like Florida stopped us. We had guys running open, and we moved the ball at will on them. We shot ourselves in the foot. They didn't do much to stop us. So I mean, I don't know how they're going to stop Kentucky if that's more difficult than us. We left about 25, 26 points on the board. So I'm worried for Florida.
Well, some of it's gamesmanship. Some of it's gamesmanship too, Rusty. You know.
I know.
Yeah, some of it's gamesmanship. I mean, and we only scored 14 points.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But it wasn't Florida stopping it. It wasn't Todd Grantham and his great defense stopping us. It was us. It was us. Self-inflicting wounds. Not anything. They weren't putting bullets in our head, knocking us out or anything. It was the other way around. We were splitting our own wrist.
I don't know.
I'm just worried for him. I feel sorry for Todd in his poor defense and what they got to go up against. So I'm gonna say a couple Hail Marys for them going into that ball game. I'm sure the rest of us will.
I know one thing. Kentucky loves play action off of Chris Rodriguez, who is one of the best backs in the SEC, and they love taking shots off of the play action with Will Levis. So that Florida secondary, that in my opinion is not very good, they better come ready to play, because Will Levis is going to take a lot of shots down the field. We'll see if they can connect.
True. I totally agree. So I didn't mention it yesterday, and I can't believe it, because I've complained for at least the last 2 seasons under the former offensive coordinator. We threw a true, well-executed screen pass, which we haven't done at least since Helton was calling plays.
Yep.
And lo and behold, it was successful.
It sure was. Tyon's barely touched.
Yep. And like Ben said, the guys didn't really road grade for him out in front, but everybody screened their guy off, which is really, I guess, all you got to do is just make sure the defender can't get to him by whatever means necessary. Just get in everybody's way. Just fall down in front of them so they can't get to the running back. And I've been clamoring for it, and hallelujah, we threw one, and it looked beautiful. There's nothing more beautiful than that. There's nothing more beautiful than a great screen pass like Andy Kelly to Aaron Hayden in South Bend to win a ball game. That's still probably my favorite play in the history of Tennessee football is 1991. Anyway, I know we don't talk soccer on this show, and I'm not talking soccer. I'm talking. I implore you guys and everybody else out there in Vol Nation. If you're looking for a TV show to watch, looking for something to stream, put Ted Lasso on your television, and just go into it blind and watch this show, because it is uplifting, touching, warm, caring, and a wonderful microcosm of the world and how we can all be better people. And I just wanted to throw that out there, because we talk about it a lot on Ben's website that he basically runs now. There's a pretty big thread on it. It's a great show, Ted Lasso. Check it out. It'll give you a good perspective on what we should really be caring about in this world.
I like it, man.
All right. Love you guys.
Much love. Thank you, Rusty.
You bet.
Appreciate you, Rusty.
Who do we have next? Good morning. Line 3 here. Hello.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. This is Mitch.
Mitch.
Yeah.
Hey, Mitch.
I
Good
was
morning, man.
wondering, Ben going after Hypo like that in the next press conference when Ben asked the question, is Hypo going to say, Ben, I don't know how much you know about football? But no, anyway, I don't know. Somebody may have already asked this question, but like, how good are our backup tackles to where we could, I know Coop being out, where we can't slide Cade inside either at left guard or, I know Cade could play center too because it seems like, 80 or 90% of our running plays are going up the middle anyway. I mean, are they? I know Cade's probably our best lineman, but I mean, is there that big a difference?
We thin, Mitch. We are really thin at offensive line. So, being Mitch's question is about putting other guys at tackle. Sliding.
Do I have to answer?
Sliding
do I have
Cade.
to answer that question?
Yeah, sliding Cade in different position, and we just, Mitch. I think to answer your question without really getting into too much detail and harping on the lack of talent on the offensive line and depth, and I don't want to put anybody down, but we just don't have the horses at offensive line
Right.
to do what you want to do there.
I understand that. My other thing, the Callaway drop, and you've already touched on it, concentration or whatever, but you've got, it even starts at Pee Wee League. You watch the ball all the way into your hands, and you could see he took a peek upfield right when the ball was getting there, and we've seen that 100 times. You break concentration, take your eye off the ball for just a second, and it's over. But like I said, looking forward to this week, and that's all I'll say today. Go Vols.
Hey,
Enjoy the show.
thank you, Mitch. And I would understand if it was, and I'm sorry, Rob. I'm gonna talk about that drop, that play, because it's gonna help people understand that play a little bit better. Versus man, you should know that you have room. There's no one that's going to be there. As soon as you identify a man as you're running your route, you should know that when you catch the ball, there's no one that's going to be right there to hit you. So there's no reason to have to peek upfield, take your eyes away from the ball, because you know it's man and it's an empty lane. Now, when you catch the ball, you get upfield, you're going to have some blockers out in front, but understand that they're probably going to get off those blocks at some point, and then you're going to have an alley runner at safety that's coming. It's going to be a one-on-one tackle for him. And this is him, he's a true sophomore. So this is inexperience coming into play. Now, if it's zone and you're running that rub, let's say Florida shows you man pre-snap and then goes to zone post-snap. Well, there's some other guys that maybe are open, or you are the only read because you see the guys blocking on the perimeter after Callaway caught the ball. Maybe that was just a two-man route. But even if it was a two-man route, if it's zone, you are told to sit in zone. And when you catch it, you're not supposed to be worrying about going east or west anyways. You're going north and south. You're catching it, tight turning, and getting upfield as quick as possible. So to Mitch's phone call, there's not a reason really to be peeking or looking, because no one is going to be right there to hit you as soon as you catch the football. Remember when the Titans play the Seahawks, and A.J. Brown had that drop. It was like a skinny post, and he was trying to kind of make a cut in the air before he caught the ball because he was peeking. Like, he had a reason to kind of peek because that safety's about to come and hit him as soon as he caught the ball. Where on Callaway's drop, it was man. There was no one right there. And so you kind of know that as you get a little bit older. All right, I'm running the crossing route. It's man. My guy was picked. When I catch it, I know I got some daylight. All right. There's times when you are running through zones where you do have to peek a little bit. You got to peek to know where the defender is, so that way you can catch the ball with your body if you need to, or shield the defender if you need to. But sometimes you do peek at the defender to see where they are, kind of like a punt return. When you're a punt returner, you got to peek at the coverage to see if you got a fair catch it, or you can catch it or run. But you just got to make sure that when the ball hits your hands, your eyes are connected to the ball. That's what you have to do. All right, let's go to the text box. Rivers 1652 says, "How did we get so thin on the offense defensive line? It's been known for years that the SEC is a line of scrimmage league." Rivers, look at the transfer portal.
Not just the transfer portal. I think at least with the offensive line, the bigger issue with the offensive line is the missed evaluations over the last several recruiting classes. There are bodies in the receiver or in the offensive line room. They're just not SEC quality bodies in the offensive line room. And I hate to be that blunt because we don't want to throw anybody under the bus here on the Swain Event. But, I mean, that's the truth of the matter. I mean, the twos and threes along Tennessee's offensive line would not be playing at the other premier SEC schools. I mean, it's the same guys that, when thrown in against Tennessee Tech, struggled because they should be playing at that level that Tennessee Tech plays at, quite frankly. So there's bodies in the O-line room, and the lack of depth doesn't stem from the lack of bodies, but rather the missed evaluations, in my opinion.
That is 100% true, but look at the departures from his offensive line, either to graduation, NFL, or transfer portal. Trey Smith, Brandon Kennedy, Wanye Morris went to Oklahoma. Jameer Johnson went to Texas A&M. Both of those guys are playing. I know Jameer Johnson was starting right there in the Arkansas game. Watched him at left tackle.
Left tackle.
Yeah. So imagine
Wanye's not playing a ton, I don't think. But Jameer's starting at left tackle. Jameer's the one that Tennessee would rather have right now than Wanye, quite frankly.
Yeah,
but still, both would be playing right now, probably.
Yeah, but imagine if you had both of those guys, you're able to move Cade back to guard, and the offensive line looks totally different right now. So you are right, 100%, Ben. But I think the two transfers hurt you as well too. So it's a combination of misevaluations, and it's a combination of the transfer portal. And so in some cases, with some position groups, it's been both cases. Some maybe more transfer portal than misevaluations. Let's go to the phones. I don't think I need to give any examples, and then we'll take a break. Good morning. Who do we have?
Hey, it's Turkey Man.
Hey, Turkey Man. What's up, man?
Hey, buddy. Hey, couple of things that you guys I haven't heard you mention, but I have a problem with players having the same number. We've seen two number ones on the field, and they had to call timeouts for confusion there, and also
they didn't call timeout. They just ran two guys off and only had 9 on the field.
That was the next deal. We did that 9 on the field a couple of times I've seen already. Also, when Cade was, not Cade, but Coop was really hurt in there. He was on TV. You could really tell he just, which way did I stand, which way's the ball pointing. He was really not there. Who lets the coach know, listen, you need to take care of this? Who lets the coach know, or the players know, how many players you got to have on the field? Who keeps that going? Because it's evident that our coach is more interested in being fast than a lot of other things. The next play, the play down the road.
Hold on, Turkey Man. Let me stop you because I feel like you're mixing in special teams and Kate and
well, it's
Cooper.
a combination, ain't it?
Well, the number of players on the field, that's special teams. Cooper's injury is Cooper's injury. So
yes.
Are you asking
Okay.
Are you asking about the communication during special
Yes.
teams, or are you
So,
asking about
well,
who?
it's more than just one that I'm seeing that's a concern. And you've mentioned a lot of the fans have, and you have mentioned about lack of concentration, receivers not, you're disappointed, so on and so forth. But the game itself, our offense is fast and in a hurry in the next play. But, all that boils down in going on fourth. We've seen that a couple of times. But we need to, this is costing us by moving players in and out. It's costing us. And that goes in the communication. Is he going to go for it on fourth? Are we going to punt?
Turkey man,
all those things
I'm
play.
I'm lost, Turkey man. Like exactly what you're like
well,
asking.
I'm asking who is responsible for if he decides in a quick and a hurry to go for it on fourth. That's fine. Everybody's there.
The position coaches are in charge of determining who's in and who's out.
Okay, and if the punt team goes in, who's doing that?
Mike Eckler.
Okay, so then we have more than one people that's supposed to be in charge are coming on the field at the same time. So does that not happen?
Yeah, on that particular play, Turkey Man, when Trayvon Flowers and Baelish were on the field at the same time, Heupel said yesterday that was an error on Trayvon Flowers' part. I don't know how it was an error on Trayvon Flowers' part, but Heupel said that Flowers needed to I can't remember his exact wording, but essentially said that he needed to just make sure that he takes care of what he needs to do that next time. I forget his exact wording, so forgive me. But he essentially said that that mistake with having both ones on the field was on Flowers.
But we've seen that more than one game, right?
No,
that's
we didn't have but nine people on the field.
Punt team, having 9 people on the punt team. That's the first time we've seen it this season.
Well, we had another game. I don't know what it was, but we only had 9 people on the field, or 10. We haven't went over. We hadn't seen in the past 12 and 13. But what I'm saying is we got so many false starts, penalties. We need to work on those things.
I'm with you, Turkey man. The penalties are definitely concerning, and it kind of amazes me that Heupel has this track record of penalties, Swain, because I think he's a good coach, and the penalties aren't the mark of a good coach, quite frankly.
No, you can't be.
That's confusing to me.
Yeah, you can't beat anybody else until you make sure you're not beating yourself. So yeah, that's why I was a little confused on Turkey Man's question, because like it started with the special teams issue with 9 guys on the football field. Trayvon Flowers didn't get off, and this is the first time it's happened this season, considering both guys are starters and both guys are skill position players. And when you was heading into the season, this is why you didn't make one of those guys change their number. We saw with the previous staff where I think it wasn't Bryce Thompson. It was someone else who was a corner or something, a secondary player that was wearing the same number as someone else, but they had to change because they both were going to be on special teams. I'm not exactly sure who it was, but somebody had to change the number for that reason. So no one changed their number before the first game. Didn't have a problem first game. Didn't have a problem second game. Didn't have a problem third game. And now you had that issue come up against Florida on Saturday. So that was the first time that happened. So I was confused because I didn't know where Cooper Mays came into that equation.
Well, I think Turkey Man was trying to reference who is in charge of getting Cooper out in that situation, because it's clear that Cooper needs to come out of the game. So who needs to make the decision to get him out of the game, because he wasn't coming out on his own.
So those are two different scenarios. Mike Eckler handles special teams, and then head coach and Glenn Ellerbe handles that situation with Cooper Mays. So Glenn Ellerbe is like, he's watching his guys. And if he sees Cooper struggling, then he can get on the headset and talk to Josh Heupel about what to do. I'm sure they didn't really have another option that was better than 60% Cooper Mays. And I think Cooper did not want to come out of the game either. And so as a coach, you have to make that decision. Okay, our guy doesn't want to come out of the game. And yes, he is clearly not 100%, but our next guy wouldn't do any better.
Well,
and
I think it's worse than the 60% that you mentioned. I think he was below 50, and unfortunately, it's impactful situation for Tennessee because I think he's extremely doubtful coming up.
Yeah, but no one's to blame though. Like I think one thing we want to do is like every time something is not perfect or positive, someone has to be to blame. And I don't think anyone's to blame here. Like Cooper hurt his ankle a couple of weeks ago, and it takes time to heal. He's trying to play through an injury. He re-hurt it, and he wants to finish the game. Your depth is not where it needs to be. You could have taken Cooper out a little earlier, or you could have let him play a little bit longer. Like it happens. It happens. Like it happened to me. I took myself out of the game. But if no one would have took me out, dude, I could have been out there another drive or something, another possession, and I could have been the reason why my team throws an interception or makes a mistake. I just so happened to take myself out. But I was an older player at that time. Cooper is just a sophomore, and he is gutting it out. He is giving his all. In that moment, it's the coach's job to take him out. Sometimes the coaches have to protect the player from themselves. So it's no different than like a trainer that's in the corner of a boxer's in a corner of a boxer. A boxer doesn't want to stop, but he can't see anymore. He's cut. He's wobbly. He's dizzy. But somebody got to call it a fight. Or what's going to happen is that boxer's going to get himself killed because he's not going to protect himself from himself. So it's no one's fault what happened with Cooper Mays. It's unfortunate that he's hurt, and now he has to do, round-to-round treatment. Like he should be spending all of his time in the training room, spending late nights in the training room. This is a situation where all the training staff, especially the head trainer, he's not getting off until late at night. His kid and my kid are actually in the same class in elementary. So, sorry, kid, but Daddy's going to be home late. He's trying to get Cooper ready to play. So that's going to be one of those situations. I remember that with guys I played with. They were in there to 10, 11 o'clock trying to get ready to go the next week. All right, let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Who we got?
Justin in Florida.
What's up, Justin?
Not much, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Cool. Hey, your co-host there, Ben, absolutely, nailed the point earlier about, the offensive line and some of the missed evaluations. And I don't think it's just from a player standpoint. I think it's from where they may play on the offensive line. And here's what I mean by that. It just seems like when Pruitt was here, we brought in a lot of bodies that were offensive guard type bodies, not offensive tackle type bodies. And, I think that's kind of showing up now that, we probably have a bunch of guys you could plug in at guard, but, the tackle position is one, I think, in general in college football it's becoming tougher and tougher to find. Like this year, from what a lot of recruiting services are saying, seems like this is one of the worst years for offensive tackles coming out of high school. And I just think that's going to be a real challenge for, this team and this staff moving forward is finding ways, because hypothetically, Cade's definitely gone after this year. I mean, if Darnell Wright were to have a strong, stretch through the SEC and found himself with maybe a fourth round. I mean, he could be potentially gone too. So now you start looking at next year going, okay, who are the tackles going to be? So I think finding some of those offensive tackles through the transfer portal is going to be probably number one concern of this staff moving forward. And Swain, as far as the Cooper Mays thing, everyone keeps bringing up that he didn't take himself out, or the coaches didn't take himself out during the Florida game. Actually, when he got hurt versus Pitt, he stayed in that game for 2-3 plays until there was a stoppage, and then pulled himself out. If you go back and look at the tape, you could see him slow to get up. He stayed in there, gutted it out. So, I mean, I give this kid all the credit in the world, but if you're a coach, if you're a position coach, you know that, hey, a guy's going to be out there and he's doing it on one leg because he just refuses to come out. I mean, and you kind of see it like a trend of that. When do you not necessarily call timeout, but, I mean, when do you instruct that guy, hey, maybe go down and, allow us to get an injury timeout so we don't have to burn a timeout? I mean, I know it's a bigger conversation, and I don't know if there's necessarily one answer to it, but, I mean, this isn't the first time you've seen, Cooper try and gut it out is sort of my point. And, it could be potentially costly, because if some D tackle comes up the middle and blasts your quarterback, that now you're potentially, causing 2 injuries off of one. What are your all thoughts on that? I'll hang up.
Great stuff, Justin, as always. Thank you. Well, you got to make that determination if you are Josh Heupel. Number one, you have a report on Cooper's ankle. Can it get worse? If you feel like it can get worse, then you have to rest him. Do you feel like he is hurting the team if he plays less than 100%? If you feel that's the case, and this is something Justin has just mentioned, then you got to put in at least somebody healthy that can protect themselves and protect, literally and figuratively, protect the quarterback. So these are conversations that Josh Heupel has to have with his position coach, in this case is Glenn Ellaby, and the training staff, to know exactly how to handle this thing. Because, listen, this is football. Guys play hurt. Guys play hurt all the time, and there's a fine line between playing hurt and playing injured. And Cooper Mays is injured right now. So when you're playing injured, you can get other people hurt because you're not doing your job right. But you can play hurt. Most of these guys are going to play hurt for the rest of the season. Jabari Small is playing hurt. But once he gets to the point where, like, his shoulder is hurting so bad to where he can't even block, he can't even get, have any contact on that shoulder, and it's a passing play, he has to block a linebacker or something, and he can't even do that, and then that linebacker has a free rush on the quarterback, that's when you got to take Jabari Small out. So that's my take on that whole situation, man. I don't know if you agree, disagree, but, man, the floor is yours.
I agree with you. Guys are banged up, and unfortunately, and Josh Heupel admitted this last Thursday, his final media appearance before Florida. He admitted that the team is banged up more than he would like. I mean, it's football. You're going to have guys that are banged up. That happens. It's a long season. Guys take a ton of hits, but it's a little more than just guys being banged up right now for Tennessee. And the unfortunate part is that Tennessee doesn't have the depth to overcome the guys that are banged up. And, I mean, say what you will about Butch's tenure, but at least under Butch, if the starting center got hurt, you had somebody adequate that could come in. And
14 it was thin. But yeah.
Yes, but I'm talking about more so like when he established like those 15 and 16 teams. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's not a fair comparison because this is Josh Heupel's first season and I'm comparing it to 15, 16. I'm just talking about I'm highlighting the depth. And there is an adequate center that can come in because Jerome Carvin, he's adequate enough at center. He's serviceable enough at center, but where you don't have the adequate offensive lineman to come in is when you have to put somebody in at left guard because you slid Jerome over to center. And you're already dealing with an injury to Kayron Calvert. You're dealing with an injury to Riley Locklear, essentially, who medically retired. Locklear would be in there at guard. Calvert probably at tackle, and then Cade moves in at left guard. Jameer Johnson, if he was still here, could slide in and play left guard if needed to, or play tackle, and Cade goes into guard. Same with Wanye. You just don't have the guys to replace those who are getting injured. Because if Jabari Small can't go this weekend, then you're relying on true freshman Jalen Wright. And I think Jalen Wright's going to be a terrific back for Tennessee at some point, but not in his 5th game as a true freshman. So it's just really unfortunate that right now Tennessee's more than just a banged up football team. Like every football team is starting to get to that point. It's a little more than that. It's some bad luck involved, and they don't have the guys to replace those that are injured.
865-255-03. Tell me if you remember this, Ben. 2014, Jacob Gillum tore his ACL and came back and played with a torn ACL. What is the similarities between Jacob Gillum and Cooper Mays, other than these two guys getting hurt?
Being warriors and being willing to risk further significant injury for their teammates. I compared it to what you played through when you were playing. I can't remember the details. It was your knee, right?
Ankle sprain.
High ankle sprain. Okay, but I couldn't, because you cracked your kneecap at one point, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. It was knee. It was a fracture in my kneecap my junior year, and then a ankle sprain my senior year.
But it was the fractured kneecap in which you should not have continued to play on, correct?
Correct.
And because you're an awesome dude and a great teammate and a warrior, you continue to play. And that's what Cooper is trying to do. It's what Jacob Gilliam did, is that they're trying to play when they don't need to be playing.
You're right. What you said, not about stuff about me, but you're right about about them. The similarities is Jacob Gilliam grew up as a lifelong Tennessee fan. Attended his first game at the age of 6. Cooper Mays grew up as a Tennessee fan. That's the similarities, man. You trying to tell those guys to get off the field because they're hurt? No, man. You have to carry dudes like that off the field because they want to give their all for Tennessee. So we want guys to give their all for Tennessee, and they're gonna do it. Like, he was literally trying to give his all for Tennessee. I don't know if Cooper was getting any crap for playing hurt, which he shouldn't at all. And the coach should allow him to play hurt up until a certain point, up until that player can't protect himself and he's hurt himself even more, whereas you have long-term damage, or he is maybe causing danger to his teammates because he can't protect. So those are the only two cases where I say you pull a player and get him out of there. 865-255-03. We'll take a quick timeout. It is hour 3 here on the Swain Event. Swain Event is fueled by Dead End Barbecue. Ben McKee, Jason Swain. We'll come back. We'll chop it up with Austin Price of VolQuest.com. Stay with us.
guess is the Swain Event is taking you behind the scenes and in the huddle every morning from 7 till 10 right here.
When you start your own business, you know that branding can make or break a new venture. That's why Swain Event relies on 42nd Street. 42nd Street is a strategy agency focused on finding creative, open-minded, results-driven solutions to brand design. After over a decade of operations in East Tennessee, the brand architects at 42nd Street have the experience and creative know-how to ensure the success of your business branding, logo, web presence, and more. To see a real-life example of their amazing work, you can check out our website at swainevent.com. Don't trust the branding of your business to just anyone. Check out my friends at 42nd Street online at 42st.com or give them a call at 865-382-7007. 42nd Street, brand, strategy, design.
More and more Tennessee businesses are switching to Iris Networks for reliable, local, high-quality, high-speed business fiber internet. Iris provides direct internet access from 10 megs to 10 gigs with no payments for 90 days. Iris also offers next-generation business phones with work from anywhere capability from the mobile or laptop app. With local sales, support, and service, Iris is a partner in the community. Learn more at irisnetworkusa.com or call 865-448-IRIS. Iris Networks, a Tennessee business connecting Tennessee businesses.
If you know your HVAC system is in need of replacement, now's the time to upgrade. Hiller wants to buy your old system. During the month of September, you'll earn a credit of up to $1,500 on select new HVAC systems when you trade in your old unit. Or upgrade to a new tankless water heater and we'll give you $500 for your old equipment. Don't wait until your system fails. Visit happyhiller.com today. Happy you'll be, or the service is free.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
You don't have to take an L just because you can't listen to the Swain Event live. You can catch up on the podcast posted daily on the app, online, and on iTunes.
Swain Event, swainevent.com, fueled by Dead End Barbecue. Time to chop it up what I got. Austin Price of volquest.com. AP, good morning, sir. Oh, hold on. Here we go. Hold on. I'm trying it again. AP, good morning, sir. There we go.
Take two, everybody. What's up, Jason Swain?
What's up? What's up? What's up? Ben, we got Austin on, man. Have you seen enough of Austin?
Never.
Y'all had a good time together a couple days ago, spending a lot of quality VolQuest time together. This is team bonding. Josh Heupel did some team bonding over the summer. This is team bonding in a different way. Did you guys go play kickball too in some random parking lot in Gainesville when y'all was hanging out?
No, we did not. But we did have a good time. Ben got to choose lunch, and then he patiently sat through a drive-through at 1:30 in the morning, considering we had not ate since about 11:30 on Saturday morning. So it was a whole lot of fun sitting in the drive-thru for a long time.
I'm disappointed in you, Austin. You set Ben up for failure on that one, man. You set him up for failure, but it's all good, man. Hey, when you're hungry, sometimes we don't think clearly. It happens, man. It happens.
Well, it was one of those things where, like, you know, if you had it to do over again, you just scrap it. But, like, once we were so far in, like, scrapping it would have been an insult to everybody. So we just we toughed it out, and Ben did say his hamburger was hot, so that was positive.
That is good.
I was surprised. Considering there was like one person working, I thought the food was going to be bad. It wasn't.
That's awesome, man. That is awesome. Austin, man, we were just talking about Cooper Mays and how he gutted out his performance against Florida, and brought up Jacob Gilliam there in 2014. He had the torn ACL, but man, still played, man. Still came back, played with a torn ACL. Two guys that grew up as Tennessee fans. When do you take a guy out? When do you know to take a guy out? When do you say, all right, we're gonna let you play through your injury? Like, what's that fine line? We're trying to discuss it here, but how do you think that's handled, or how would you handle that?
But when you can no longer walk, you have to come out. Cooper actually, I think, was injured. Going back and watching the film, injured on the Tyon Evans screen pass, and then it just kind of progressively got worse. And so, by the point that they took him out, I mean, he was not a help to anybody. And so, it's not an ideal situation. Again, he definitely helps this team a lot. Their pace and stuff is different with him. And to me, the strength of the offensive line just gets better because Carvin strengthens in the guard, Cooper strengthens in the center, and to not have, Cooper, this week or for the next few weeks would be a massive blow, in my opinion.
Do you look at this game as a true must-win? Because really every game is a must-win, but do you see this game as a true must-win for Tennessee?
Sure I do. If you're talking about just trying to get to 6-6, get bowl eligible in year one, had they beat Pittsburgh, this type of game is not necessarily a must-win. But, they lost to Pittsburgh, so this game is a must-win. And, if you're trying to get to 6-6, I mean, there are paths to 6 wins without a win over Missouri, but the paths are just dark alleys. You're going to have to be, basically spot on the rest of the way, and with the razor thin margin of error that this team has, that's just probably unrealistic. So if Tennessee can beat Missouri and then in turn around and beat South Carolina, then I think their chances of getting to 6, are probably 90%, because I don't see them losing South Alabama. And unless somebody morphs Vanderbilt, which is pretty lifeless right now, I don't see them losing to Vanderbilt.
Austin, are you buying Josh Heupel's comments about Hendon Hooker's availability? Seemed very questionable. Do you think that's gamesmanship, trying not to tip his hand, or is Hendon Hooker's status truly questionable?
Oh, I think it's questionable. That's that Sunday night on the Nation. I said he was questionable. I said Cooper Mays was questionable. I think Cooper Mays is now more doubtful. And the truth be told, that ankle, they need to get it healthy and have him ready for the stretch run. Trotting him back out there too soon, and then all of a sudden, it gets worse and worse and worse, and you miss him out for a longer stretch of time. So, from my liking, you got to get him healthy, and then I think it just depends on how Hendon Hooker feels. He's not got a concussion. I think it's more of a neck injury, having had his helmet snatched off the other night. At this point, I would say I would lean 55-45 he plays, but I think it's really up in the air.
Do you think he's the bona fide QB1? Just put the injury aside. Just what'd you make of his performance against Florida, and do you think there's any doubt that he's QB1 moving forward?
Oh, I think he's definitely QB1 going forward, at least until, he takes himself out of being QB1. But, if he's healthy, I think he'll be the guy. I think that he just gives them a little something extra. And Joe's got potential to be better than anybody, but, at this point, the touch is definitely concerning. I joked yesterday with Brent Hubbs. We were standing outside the complex, and Joe walked in, and he was wearing glasses. And I said, "Dang, Hubbs, I think I figured it out." And he goes, "What?" And I said, "He's wearing glasses." I said, "He's not wearing glasses during the game. Maybe his depth perception's off. When they're 30 yards away, he thinks they're 40, and that's why he throws it further."
Maybe that's it.
It's like Ricky Vaughn from Major League. He walks up there and throws on the skull crossbone glasses on Saturday in Columbia, Missouri. If he's the guy, then watch out. But yeah, all jokes aside, Joe's he's struggling mightily with touch. He threw the Utah pass Saturday night, and it was like, Peyton throwing at the kids on Saturday Night Live, just pelting them. So, for my liking, Joe's, again, got all kinds of upside, but Hendon's the guy that gives you the best chance to win this year and going forward right now.
Austin Price, VolQuest.com. Austin, any class of 22 recruiting nuggets that are of significance worth mentioning?
At this point, no. It's just kind of dead. Tennessee needs to get home games. They preferably need to get night games. I think these noon games are just, killing them too. It's hard to, if kids are more than a few hours away, it's hard to be like, "Hey, leave your house at 2 a.m. and get here for the noon game." You know what I mean? Tennessee needs a night game or two. South Carolina would have been a nice night game to have. A winnable game, which sets up that Ole Miss game. It's probably going to be a night game.
Right.
Tennessee won't play them all at noon. But right now they're kind of in that lull where, everything seems to be noon. Missouri's played 3 straight noon games. Recruiting has just not got a lot of juice. Winning a game or two would help, and some night games would help, and the investigation being over would help. So, Tennessee needs to find something in the magic elixir to make a couple of those things happen.
How much is the lack of juice part of the new recruiting calendar / transfer portal?
I don't think.
Or is it Tennessee not handling business the way it should?
I just don't think that has anything to do with it. I think that kids are skeptical because they hear from all these other schools that, Tennessee's going to get 3, 4, 5 years probation. And I know kids never told me 5, but kids have told me 4 that they've heard that from other schools. And so, and kids just don't know. Tennessee can say, "We don't believe that's going to be true," but Tennessee can't definitively say that's not true. And so, kids right now are kind of taking a more step back approach with Tennessee. And, I don't think the juice has anything to do with, recruiting calendars or the transfer portal. I do think Tennessee's probably putting too much weight in the transfer portal. Listen, they're getting really good play out of Javonte Payton. Caleb Tremblay's been, effective at points. Hendon Hooker obviously made some plays the other night. But Turnage has done nothing. Haddon had some, cleanup surgery. Juwan Mitchell, to me, is not giving them a whole lot. Apache Mohan's helping them on special teams. I just don't. I think the portal is good. I think that you can't live in there, And I said that before the season started, you'll find out if Tennessee has a lot of success with these transfers, look for them to make the portal a big thing as they try to flip the roster and remain competitive. Problem is, I just don't think they're having enough success the warrant, saying, hey, we're only going to take 17 high school kids, and we're going to try to take 10 portal guys. I just think that you're playing with fire when you do that, just because you just don't know. And I think you're better off to go with the evaluations of high school kids in a lot of ways. And then if you were to lose, again, they're going to pass this rule. If you lose 7 kids to the portal, you replace 7 kids to the portal, and you still have a mostly full class of prep players.
There's been talk about how many scholarship players are actually on this roster. Carlin Fields and me hit the transfer portal. I thought he was already, I thought he was either at another school or already in corporate America. I didn't even know he was not in the transfer portal, to be honest. I thought he had already been in there and got out. But how many scholarship numbers is Tennessee working with?
71, not counting the super seniors, which are only here for fall. So 71. That's the number. And, you're probably going to lose them and have some natural attrition. The kids that don't come back. The number's really less than that.
Wow. Austin, give us a group that's exceeding your expectations, playing better than what you thought they would play, and give me a group that has not done that and basically has not lived up to your expectations so far in 4 games. So 1 good, 1 bad.
Tight end, and I'll go secondary. Tight ends is the one that overexceeded. Jacob Warren, I knew would kind of be reinvigorated in this offense. I didn't realize he would be as formidable as he's been in this offense. Again, I knew of all people that were excited about the coaching change, 87 was going to be one of them, because he just fit what this group does to a T. And but he's been even better than I thought. And then I just felt like the secondary's kind of been not terrible, but not good enough.
Yeah. A lot of experience back there, so I certainly understand why you would point at them, man. Even though Alontae made a good play, we didn't get the cookies on the interception, but he did force a turnover. So maybe we just get the cookie batter, the consolation, because last week he got the pick, everyone got the cookies, the 2 free cookies, but he forced a fumble. Maybe we can just get the recipe to the cookies. I don't know, but he did make a good play on Jacob Copeland. But as a group, they haven't played at a level
I just feel like the safeties have been, to me, below average. The safety play has been below average to this point, and I think the corners have done better than the safeties. But when you look at the cumulative group, it's not. They can definitely be better.
Yep, going up against a pocket passer, more of a pocket passer than Emory Jones and Bazelak there in Missouri that put up 300 yards of passing against Boston College. So safeties better make sure that they are not allowing Connor to manipulate them with his eyes, and better ask for some pass rush to make it a little bit easier. AP, what is going on at VolQuest this week, man? I could ask Ben,
we'll just
but
get you ready for Tennessee's noon or breakfast in Columbia is what I'm calling it. It's 11 a.m. local time. Start against Missouri. We'll have the Rocky Top Roundtable. We'll have the stock report. And we'll also tell you how the Yankees are going to lose out and not make the playoffs, all at VolQuest.com.
So you're going to be lying then, because the Yankees are making the playoffs, baby. The Yankees
just showing that Swain's a better friend than Austin.
That is right. Well, I wouldn't hold you up in a drive-through for an hour to McDonald's and then make you drive while I fall asleep after eating it. I wouldn't do you like that. I wouldn't do you like that.
Oh, I love AP.
Hey, buddy, that
AP's,
was
Jared in Texas wants to know if you learned anything over the course of that hour.
What did I learn? Nothing.
So since Austin didn't learn anything, next time y'all take a trip, be ready for the same experience, Ben. That's all Austin is saying. That's all Austin.
It was all good. We needed food. Like Austin said, we hadn't eaten since we landed. We had a great lunch. Watched some football, had some clucks and fries, some bottomless fries, some freckled lemonades. I mean, just had a grand time. And it had been a hot minute since we ate. So we had to get some food. And unfortunately, everybody else wanted food too.
Yep. VQ bonding. That's what I call it. VolQuest bonding time between Ben and Austin. All right, Austin, man. Thanks for the time, man. I'll see you. We'll talk to you here soon. I won't be seeing you here for a couple days.
That's correct. You'll see me Thursday at Anderson County.
That's right. That is right. So I get an AP break, you get a Swain break. But I will talk to you here soon. Tonight on Tennessee Prime, it'll be Brent Hubbs, Cade Mays, myself, and AP.
Javante Payton.
Touchdown Payton. That's right, man. Javante Payton. So look forward to tonight's Tennessee Prime at Gus's Fried Chicken. All right, Austin, man. Thanks for the time.
All right. See you guys.
I thought he was going to give us a Jeremy Pruitt impersonation, or maybe that's just how he talks. Maybe he just really talks almost like Jeremy Pruitt.
That's why he does such a great Jeremy Pruitt impersonation, because he sounds very similar to Jeremy Pruitt.
Yeah, I wonder if Austin was actually awake today. Is he still tired? Because I know one thing. I know somebody that went on the same trip as he went on and went to Atlanta to a concert that didn't finish until 2 and still got up this morning to do the show. So AP doesn't have much of an excuse.
Yeah, not that anybody should feel bad for my extracurriculars enjoying a concert last night, but I haven't had a night of sleep of more than 5 hours since like last Wednesday or Thursday. So I look forward to sleeping tonight. I'm coming home from Tennessee Prime tonight, and I'm going to watch the Yankees lose, and then I'm going to bed immediately.
The last couple times you've been saying that, they've been winning. So I'm
going to keep saying it.
Just keep saying that. All right, let's go to the phones. And good morning. Who do we have?
This is Jason Voss, 22. How are you doing today?
Hey, Jason Voss, 22. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm driving on 75 south of Tampa for a meeting and just came through Gainesville.
Ugh.
And it's rough.
Ugh.
It's rough living in Florida. But I just want to touch on a few things. I brought my oldest son to Knoxville for the Pitt game. And we had a great time at that game. I realized over the last few years, Swain, we would have been blown out. I don't believe that team quit. As I watched the game against Florida, I saw a team that didn't quit. I saw a team that battled. I saw a team that we make that catch, we possibly get in the end zone. I saw a team that over the last few years would have totally crumbled in the first quarter, second quarter. Another thing I saw, this team in the second quarter didn't have a collapse like it has the previous 3 weeks. I have told a lot of people that this team reminds me of a few years ago Tennessee team in basketball. Scrappy. They don't have all the pieces, but they're doing the best they can. I will say before the Pitt game, guys, I was totally ready just to give up. it's been tough. You know it as a Vol fan, but in my life, there's no way to do it. After that Pitt game, my son got to meet John Fulkerson. We had an amazing time. You know what my son put on Facebook? My son put on Facebook, I just had the best weekend with the best fan base and had the best time at the University of Tennessee football game. The whole 7-hour drive back to Florida, my son talked about his experience meeting a lot of VolQuest guys, meeting a lot of people, meeting AD, Danny White, meeting once again the great Jason Swain, meeting once again the great Brent Hubbs. I said, hey, to Ben, but he just ignored me, but just a joke. But I'm going to tell you something. I have seen a lot of great things this year in this team. I've always been known as a sunshine pumper. I try to pump a lot of sunshine. But I'm going to tell you something. There's some heart in this team. There's some problems. And you guys have nailed it the whole time I've been listening, driving 75 from I-10 to 75 South. It's the same thing that's been said every week. I think, Ben, you're 100% correct. I think there's some practice habits still that's got to be broken. I mentioned it on VolQuest yesterday. When you look at the offensive line play, you also have to consider the pre-coaching. Sometimes it's hard to get the bad habits out. The defensive line showed me some stuff this last weekend. Offensive line got some push. They didn't get manhandled like they would have in previous years. Yes, there were spots. Yes, there were times. I'm going to tell you something. After that first drive of Florida, Rodney Garner, he got up on him. My son went to the game. I had to be at a wedding. But I'm going to tell you something. I am encouraged. I do believe there's still a way at 6-6. And I do believe, guys, that if this team continues, they will get better. But you got to have the horses to compete.
Well, thank you for that phone call right there, Jason. I think you are right in terms of what you're seeing from this football team. They're fighting, they're scrappy. There's certainly a different attitude, and you can build with that. You can build with a want to. You can build with a scrappy attitude, but you gotta go get the players, and that is clear as day right now that we're missing more players. And Austin just answered the question about scholarships being at 71. Guys, that's going into a fight with one arm top behind your back. And you can beat Bowling Green, you can beat Tennessee Tech, and listen, you can beat Missouri if you play a certain way and play cleaner than what you did in the Pittsburgh game. You can beat South Carolina. It just puts that much more pressure on you and makes the margin of error so much smaller, though. And small mistakes that other teams can make because they have the talent and the depth, they can make it and overcome it. We can't. And then you add on an injury here or there, it just makes it more difficult. But, Ben, has anything that happened so far this season and where Tennessee is with this roster, this football program, is anything surprising? Didn't we kind of forecast where we would be right now and potentially where we would be at this point in the season? I mean, we probably thought that Tennessee could beat Pittsburgh, but no one thought Tennessee was going to beat Florida. the concerns with the roster, the depth, the scholarships, like no one should really be surprised. Am I wrong, or do you agree?
I think you're right. Tennessee's about where we thought that they would be. You could have told me before the season that Tennessee would be 3-1 after the Florida game, and I would have believed you. You could have told me that Tennessee would be 2-2 after the Florida game, and I would have believed you because of that Pittsburgh game being a toss-up, like you mentioned, that being a 50-50 game that could go either way. So in the grand scheme of things, Tennessee's where I thought that they would be going into Missouri, South Carolina. There isn't anything glaring in the broad scheme of things that I did not expect. Now, there are things within the team that have been surprising, but that's any season. Mm-hmm. That is any season, any sport, any level. I'm sure there's things with the Titans that are surprising right now based off of the conversations over the offseason in Nashville. Even with the Bears, aside from the quarterback controversy, I'm sure there's position units on the team that have maybe looked better or looked worse than the conversations dictated over the summer. Same can be said for my Steelers. Baseball, soccer, basketball. I mean, that's just the natural evolution of a season and it's why you play the game. I know that's the old time cliche. You play to win the game or whatever it is. But it's why the games aren't played on paper or played over the radio, because that's just all talk until kickoff or tip off or whatever. So there's some nuanced things that have surprised me. The receiver room I thought was going to be a strength coming into the season, and it's just been a complete failure to this point, in my opinion. Maybe that's too strong of a phrasing, but it's not been good. It's a long ways off from where I thought that they would be, is my point. Joe Milton, I was unsure of Joe Milton going into the season, but I didn't think that he would struggle throwing the ball the way that he has. I realized that he did do this at Michigan, but I was willing to overlook that because of Harbaugh's history with quarterbacks, with Heupel's history with quarterbacks. So Joe Milton not being the starter against Florida surprised me. So there's little things within the team that have surprised me. I didn't see Theo Jackson playing the way that he's playing. I didn't see Tennessee's defensive line taking this big of a step this early on. I figured the way Tennessee's defensive line is playing right now, I thought that they would get to this point under Rodney Garner. I thought it would be in November, towards the end of the season, not right out of the gates. So there's nuanced things within the team that have been surprising, good and bad. But overall, Tennessee's about where we thought they would be, or at least I did.
Yeah. I'm with you, man. Being from the great city, Atlanta in Georgia, and we'll be back tomorrow. At least, that's what I think. Unless you say, man, I kind of like it here. I think I'm gonna stay a while.
I like Atlanta, but not enough to stay. I know the wife is about to force me to go to IKEA and drain my bank account as she turns her head and gives me the side eye. But I'll be back tonight. I'll be back just in time for Tennessee Prime, baby.
Sounds good, man. Sounds good. September is almost over, man. Almost over. 4 games down. And Tennessee will be playing their 5th game, 11 a.m. local kick for Tennessee. But for us, it'll be a noon game. And listen, this is what happens when you are flirting with 500. You play noon games. So
nobody cares about Tennessee football outside of Knoxville, outside of the Tennessee fan base. That's just the unfortunate reality.
Yeah, pretty much, man. That's where we are right now. Fellas, encourage you to make your health a priority. Low T Center specializes in men's wellness and follow strict medical guidelines for you and your health and safety. They are one of the leading men medical providers in the country. So if you're feeling tired, grumpy, lack of motivation or drive, you've noticed some weight gain, or even loss of muscle mass, these can all be signs of low testosterone levels, low thyroid, or even sleep apnea. So Low T Center will help. They'll get you taken care of and help you alleviate some of those issues there. But it starts with the quick and easy health assessment. Multiple locations right here in Tennessee, Nashville, Tri-Cities, Chattanooga, Knoxville. There's locations all over the country. So go to the Low T Center website, lowtcenter.com, and find the nearest location to you. Right now, they are offering monitored self-inject at home testosterone treatments in the convenience of your own home. So really, really, really simple and under professional guidance from the Low T Center team. So lowtcenter.com, reinventing men's healthcare. Big Ben, can I call you Big Ben? Or you don't want to be called the same name as the Steelers quarterback?
I mean, just because Ben Roethlisberger has regressed because of Father Time doesn't take away from all his other accomplishments in Pittsburgh. He's forever going to be a Pittsburgh legend.
Hall of Famer for sure. You did not see this, but I did. Monday Night Football last night between the Eagles and the Cowboys. Peyton and Eli did the Manning cast, and they brought in Nick Saban, which I didn't want to hear Nick Saban. So I feel
they brought in Nick Saban.
Yeah, Nick Saban was a guest. LeBron James was a guest. Matthew Stafford was a guest, and then Chris Long, Kyle Long, one of the brothers they brought in. But it's just hilarious to see how bad quarterback play, a good quarterback play, affects Peyton so much during that broadcast, man. Oh, it's great. It is great. And
was that your first time watching the Mannings? I know you didn't watch it week one. Did you watch it last week?
No, it wasn't my first time. I just didn't watch it as much week one as I did last
Starting
time.
to buy into it?
I feel bad for Brian Greasy and Louis Riddick.
I do too, especially Louis Riddick. I really like Louis Riddick, but that Manning broadcast is just top notch.
Yeah, I mean it's good, man. It's really good. So yeah, I watched more of the game last night, but I've kind of popped in and checked out all the Manning cast. But last night was when I watched it probably the most. So it was good, man. Sorry for the technical difficulties at the beginning of the show. See the things we do to make sure Ben has a good time. We sacrifice for Ben. So we'll have those things taken care of. Tonight, Tennessee Prom at Gus's Fried Chicken. It will be Brett Hubbs, Kate Mays, Javante Payton, and myself, 7 p.m. We'll be back tomorrow, 7 a.m. Hope you have a fantastic day. Swain Event is fueled by Dead End Barbecue. Top 100 barbecue restaurant in America. For Ben McKee, I'm Jason Swain. Peace.